There we go.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. Nice to meet you, Griffin. Do
Nice
you
to
have a
meet you.
preference if I call you Griffin, or do you have another name you'd prefer?
No, Griffin's fine.
All right, awesome. So we've got about 30 minutes here today, so we'll probably move along um, the questions that I have here pretty quick. Is it okay if I'm taking notes?
Absolutely, please.
Awesome. And first off, I just want to ask what brings you in today?
I just kind of feel like a little, I don't know, preoccupied a lot of times, or like just generally worried, and just sometimes like when certain projects are going on, whatever, like I get worried to the point where I almost like shut down. Like I can't do the thing that I'm worried about, which makes me more worried, and on like that.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so when do you feel like this constant worry and these feelings kind of began?
Um, I guess it was looking back, I didn't really think much about it, but I guess it was probably around the time like a little after puberty.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And this question, it's a little weird, but when do you think the last time you really felt emotionally well was? About how long has it been that you've just felt like you're
Yeah.
emotionally all there?
Um, I mean, I guess if you're talking about like without the worry, it would probably be before that. But like I feel generally emotionally well. It's just I have these like bouts, several times a week where I'm just like struggling with some worry. But overall, like I'm a pretty happy, I feel like adjusted person. So
And have has this kind of affected any of your social functioning and being around your friends or family, anything like that?
not usually. The friends and family part is not too bad. It's mostly um like I'm in grad school right now, so like that kind of related to that kind of stuff, or tasks, or sometimes it'll just be pointed to nothing at all.
Okay. And you kind of said how you go through times throughout the week that you'll like feel a little more worried and whatnot. So what would you say that your current level is compared to um, what it was maybe a few days ago, a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, maybe when you were feeling different?
Right now I'm feeling a little stressed because I'm behind in my schoolwork, and I know that like stress is normal, but for me, stress a lot of times leads to this like lockdown of worry. So I'd say it's pretty average right now, and it's been pretty constant. As things pile up and stress piles up, the more likely I am to go into this like extra worry, that kind of keeps me from living my normal life.
Okay. And you said you first kind of noticed symptoms around puberty.
Hmm.
Okay. And is this your first time seeking any sort of treatment?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And these are just some general history questions. Have you ever been hospitalized?
Yes, but
Okay.
for physical broken stuff and gotten sick and that kind of thing.
Okay. And do you know about how many times?
Um, for injuries, like three, and for sickness, twice.
Okay. And when you were in the hospital for your sickness and injuries, do you remember about how long you were hospitalized?
I think the longest was 3 days.
Okay. And you said this is the first time you are seeking treatment, so I'm
Mhm.
assuming, but have you ever received or do you receive outpatient mental health treatment?
No.
Okay. And then do you take that I will probably assume you don't take any medication for mental illness?
No,
Okay. So we can skip the next few then. Um, and have you ever received injectable medications or electroconvulsive therapy?
no, I've not.
No. Okay. Do you frequently think about hurting yourself?
No.
Okay. In these next few questions, just so you know, this is a safe space for you to talk with me. Um, and we're just going to go through a couple more questions. And if you feel uncomfortable or have any questions, just let me know. Have you ever attempted to kill yourself?
No.
Okay. And have you ever had times when you've been just so upset that you've maybe made a verbal or physical threat or act to hurt someone, an animal, or someone's property?
No. Not
Okay.
apart from getting in like a, like a fight with a friend or something. Push him around or whatever.
And so, would you say you've ever been aggressive to people or animals,
No.
okay, or stolen anything,
No.
kind of out of anger? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, that wraps up the part about the history. Now we're gonna just move into a few questions um, about you and your mood, and let me just know if you have any questions.
Sure.
Have you been feeling sad, blue, down, depressed, or irritable?
No, not really. I wouldn't say so.
Have you lost interest in things that you used to um, find pleasurable or enjoyable?
I'd say I don't have as much time for them currently, but no, I still would love to do them. So no.
Yeah. Well, you're in grad school, so that's understandable.
All right.
Not have a lot of time. Have there been times lasting a few days that you have felt that you've kind of felt like the opposite of depressed, where you were just overly happy and cheerful and kind of like different from your normal self?
Uh, no, no, not really.
Okay. And have you ever seen visions or other things that maybe people around you haven't seen?
You mean like hallucinations?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. And do you ever hear noises, sounds, or voices that other people around you don't hear?
No,
Okay.
no.
Do you ever feel like anyone's following you or trying to hurt you?
Nope.
And have you ever felt you've had any like special superpowers, maybe like reading someone's mind?
No.
Okay. And have you ever been listening to the radio or maybe watching a TV show and you felt that they were like talking directly to you or referring to you?
No.
And during the
Didn't want
past
to make
several
some
months,
jokes there, but
have you been frequently worried about a number of things in your life?
um, yeah, yeah. I'd say I mean, who isn't? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and how do you feel? Is it hard for you to kind of control or stop worrying about these things?
Um, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's like not something I can really get my mind off of that easily.
Okay. Um, and are there any specific like objects or places or even social situations that make you feel anxious or fearful?
Um, like I'm uncomfortable if I'm in a room with a bunch of people I don't know, but like not fearful. It's not the same level of worry. I think it's just normal. Like I don't know anybody. This is awkward. So no.
Yeah. Um, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a panic attack is, but we define it as a sudden rush of intense fear that comes from out of nowhere and for no apparent reason, or in situations where you did not expect it to occur. Have you ever experienced something like that?
No, not to my recollection, no.
Okay. And do you frequently experience unwanted images or thoughts or urges?
Um, could you explain that a little bit more?
Um, like, for example, you want to leave the house, but you have to lock the door 13 times exactly, or you have to flip the light on and off a certain number of times or an even number of times. Something like that where you just have an urge to do something and you can't really control it. And
Yeah, no, nothing like that.
okay.
Nothing like
Um, and are there any physical acts that you feel like you have to do in order to reduce or avoid distress associated? Oh, sorry, that's not a relevant question.
that.
Um, all right, and this next one um, might be a little difficult to answer, but what is the worst thing that you would say has ever happened to you?
Oh, hmm. Uh, Probably losing some people that I love the most.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that can be difficult.
yeah.
Um, Now, have you ever experienced or witnessed an event in which you were seriously injured or your life was in danger, or maybe you thought that you were going to be seriously injured or endangered?
Um, I guess there were a couple car wrecks that were pretty close calls, but nobody was seriously injured. I don't think it was that big of a deal. I
Okay,
don't think that often anyway. So,
okay, good. Um, and these next few, or this next question is pretty personal. So if you're not comfortable answering, you can just let me know.
sure.
Have you ever been physically, emotionally, or sexually abused?
No.
Okay. So the next thing, everyone has trouble remembering things sometimes. Do you ever feel like you lose time, forget important details about yourself, or um, cannot remember events which you were a part of?
Um, no, I mean, there's certain things that happened a long time ago, like you said, like no, not out of what I consider normal range.
Okay. Like you never attended a wedding and then completely forgot you were there until you saw a picture, that sort of thing.
No, nothing like that.
And do you ever feel like people or places that are familiar to you are unreal, or ever feel like you're kind of standing outside of your body watching yourself?
No.
Do you ever, or do you worry about your physical health more than most people, do you think?
Um, Probably. I mean, I try to like eat right and get some exercise, but I wouldn't say like I worry about it or do anything like more than average. No.
And do you feel that you get sick more often than most people?
No. I'd say less, if anything.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Thanks.
And tell me, what do you think of your appearance?
I wish I could lose a few pounds here or there, but overall, it's not something that I can like consumed with. I'm not really worried about it.
Okay. Do you ever find yourself restricting or avoiding particular foods so much that it kind of negatively impacts your health or your weight?
No. I'd say, yeah, that's definitely not a problem.
And do you find that your sleep schedule is often inadequate or like poor quality? Or your sleep?
No, actually, I'm usually a pretty sound sleeper once I get to sleep. There'll be a few nights every now and then that worry will keep me up a little bit, but for the most part, I have to sleep well.
Okay. Um, do you ever feel kind of like excessively sleepy?
Um, yeah, and especially on like my worry days, like I call them. If there's a lot going on and I feel like super worried, that's to me that's really emotionally draining. So on those days, I can be kind of like lethargic and not wanting to do much and kind of sleepy.
Okay. Do you frequently experience an irrepressible need to sleep or experience sudden lapse into sleep?
No.
Have you noticed any kind of unusual behaviors while you sleep?
Uh, nope. Other than sleeping with my dog.
Okay. Um, have you ever found yourself that you stop breathing or gasp for air while you're sleeping?
No.
And do you drink alcohol?
I do.
Okay. And how often would you say that you consume alcohol?
Like depends on what how social is going on, but now that we're quarantined, maybe 2, 3 nights a week.
Okay. And on these days that you have at least one drink, how many drinks do you typically have?
I usually have two, sometimes three. I put a hard cap at three.
Okay. Have you ever kind of experienced any problems as a result of drinking?
Um, I've been super hungover before, but I don't know if that counts. But
You know, that we're talking like you've ever missed work because you were drinking or kind of like drinking an uncontrollable amount almost. Any
no,
problems like that? Like maybe you ended up in the hospital or, but you already gave that history. So,
yeah, no, nothing like that.
okay. And when you stop drinking, do you ever feel like you're kind of going through a withdrawal, like you need to drink?
No.
Have you ever have you ever experimented with drugs?
I mean, I smoked some weed in college, but it's been a minute.
Okay. So would you say you don't do that anymore?
Yeah, no, not really.
Okay. Do you bet, wager, or gamble in a way that ever interferes with your life?
No. Because I always win when I play my friends at poker.
Good. Um, so when anyone reflects on their life, they can kind of identify patterns, characteristics, thoughts, moods, actions that began when they were young and have since occurred in many personal and social situations. Thinking about your own life, have you noticed any patterns like that which have caused you significant problems
Um,
with friends, family, or in a work setting?
Not really. I guess no. I mean, like as a kid, like I've always been pretty outgoing. Like I need my time to myself, but also have to have like social time.
Okay.
So I guess as a kid, like the only times I really got in trouble were for like disrupting kids, either making jokes or talking during class and stuff.
Okay. Okay. And we're going to move on to a few more questions kind of about medical history.
Yeah.
Do you have any chronic medical problems?
No.
Um, have you undergone any surgery?
Yes. Um, Wisdom teeth, and then something when I was like an infant that I don't even remember. But and then there was one other surgery, but it was like an outpatient. I wasn't under anesthetic, so
Okay. Have you ever had a seizure?
no.
Or maybe have you ever hit your head so hard that you lost consciousness?
Yes, well, a couple times during football, but
Okay. And do you take any medications for medical illness?
for medical illness, no.
Okay. Any supplements, vitamins, or over the counter or like herbal medicines that you take regularly?
Some probiotic stuff and just some general, what do you call them? Multivitamins.
Okay. Are you allergic to any medications that you know of?
Not that I know of. My dad is allergic to penicillin, so I've never had that.
Okay. And now we're going to do a little bit of family history. Just answer it to the best of your knowledge. Um, have any of your relatives ever had nervousness, a nervous breakdown, depression, mania, psychosis, or schizophrenia, problems resulting from excessive drinking or drug abuse, made suicide attempts, or required psychiatric hospitalization to your knowledge?
My dad does suffer or deal with depression, but he's the only one, I think. And I think my grandmother was undiagnosed, his mom, but she was good old country farm folk, so never diagnosed.
Okay. Um, are you aware if your mother, your biological mother, had any difficulties during her pregnancy or delivery?
Nope.
Okay. And how would you describe yourself as a child?
Um, I guess fairly precocious. Like I had a bunch of older cousins who were basically like my older siblings,
Okay.
so I always wanted to like play up with them and hang out with the older kids. And then, I talked a lot, made friends pretty easily as a kid. I was super nerdy and outgoing.
Okay. Did you ever have like any problems during your early childhood that you can remember?
Not really. I was actually a good kid for most of my life.
Okay. Um, and when you reached puberty, do you remember like how you felt about it?
I remember being a little more self-aware, like that I was kind of a dork and having trouble dealing with that for a little while. But then I got back on it and became like really comfortable with who I was because of my family support, and went straight back to being outgoing.
Okay, good. Did you ever experience any behavioral or learning problems during early childhood?
Uh, I was obsessive compulsive as a young child, but that has never come back. I was treated for that as a young child. So I forgot to mention that earlier. Yeah.
Okay, no, no problem. And when you first started school, did you ever have any trouble like relating to other kids socially or keeping up academically with your classmates because of any of these any problems, behavioral or learning?
Nope.
Okay. And you mentioned you're in graduate school. How far, do you have any other degrees besides bachelor's degree?
Yeah, I've got a, master's of business administration, MBA.
Okay. And during your childhood, who lived with you in your home?
Mm. I'm actually an only child, so it's just me, my mom, and my dad. The cousins that I mentioned earlier
Mhm.
all lived one at a time with me at some point, usually when they were going to college. So they were living in and out of the house, but mostly just me, my mom, and my dad.
Okay. And was religious faith a part of your upbringing?
Huge part. Very conservative Christian family.
Okay. And what about currently? Is it a big
Um,
part of your life?
for me,
Yep.
no, not at all.
Okay. And how do you support yourself?
I've got some savings from when I was working, but my parents are also helping me through grad school.
Okay. And what about previously? You said you've got some savings. What did you do before grad school to support yourself?
Yeah, a few different nonprofit jobs. Worked for yeah various nonprofits around Louisville after I graduated MBA.
So that kind of answers the next question. So we'll skip that one.
Mhm.
Have you ever served in the military?
No,
Okay. Um, have you ever been imprisoned or in jail?
no.
And what would you say you like to do? Like, how do you spend your time, your free time?
It's gotten weird since COVID got here, but when I can, I get out with my pup or go kayaking or hike when I can. But that's gotten harder even that to do right now.
Okay. And what about your time online? How do you usually spend that time?
I'm not a big internet person. I check Facebook, but a lot of times I'm just like looking up stuff on Wikipedia that interests me. So
Okay.
pretty boring.
Um, and tell me, what do you like about yourself?
I feel like I'm easy to get along with. Like I make friends with most people that I meet. Usually, like if I'm on point and not sick and tired like I am right now, I can be like fairly funny and um, like I really care about people. I think that comes through. So
Okay. And what would you say that your friends like about you?
hmm. um, I think I'm a pretty good listener, and they know that like my really good friends like are like my family. Like I would literally do anything for them.
Do you have any confidants? You said your close friends are like family.
Mhm. Yeah, I've got two best guy friends that I talk to like several times a week that I'm really close with, and then one of my close friends, his wife is also one of my best friends. And between those three and my cousins, I can talk to any of them about anything.
Okay. And if you are sexually active, are there any particular urges, fantasies, or behaviors that repeatedly cause you to feel intensely aroused?
Um, Nothing particular springs to mind.
Okay. And have you found yourself like less interested in sex than usual, or anything like that? Kind of a loss of interest?
I mean, I live alone in a cabin, so it's a little less interested, I guess, but not like in the general concept. No.
Okay. Are you comfortable with your current gender?
Yes.
And are you in a relationship currently?
Nope.
Have you ever been married?
No.
Do you have any children?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Um, all right, and we just have one more thing left to do. We're running a little short on time,
Okay.
um, so I'm gonna move through this a little quickly. Um, have you ever had any difficulty like remembering or concentrating on things?
Um, not normally.
Okay. So we are going to start with some questions on just on memory and concentration, just to make sure that to see where we're at, basically. So first off, I'm just going to ask you a few simple questions. What is your name?
Griffin Glenn.
Okay. And what is today's date?
Um, October 11th
Okay. And where are you currently?
at my house.
And I'm going to say three words, and then I'm going to have you repeat them back to me.
Okay.
So plant, book, and chair.
Okay.
Mhm.
Plant, book, and chair.
Okay. And Can you spell the word world backwards?
DLROW. Excuse me.
Okay. And what were those three words that I asked you to remember?
Plant, book, and chair.
Okay. And who is the current president?
Donald Trump.
Okay. And can you name five large cities in the US?
Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta.
Okay. And that is going to wrap up the last part.
Okay.
So do you have any follow-up questions for me?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to plan for the next visit to discuss a treatment plan. So I want to thank you for your time today, and
Okay.
we'll get that scheduled.
All right. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.